Greetings from the Book Whisper. Every story is a journey into a world of love, passion, deception, and self-discovery. Close your eyes, let the sounds carry you away, and may this story touch your heart. The Chiffon Trap. Chapter 1, The Tool and the Truth. The scent of peonies and gossip was thick in the air at the bridal boutique, L'Etoile, in downtown Charleston. For Amelia Thorne, it was a sanctuary and a stage. As the boutique's most sought-after bridal consultant, she spun dreams of satin and lace for wide-eyed brides, while her own life felt like a gown that no longer fit. Her husband, Henry Thorne, was a cardiac surgeon, a man who spent his days mending broken hearts, a skill that had somehow never translated to their 7-year marriage. Their love was now a polite, tasteful arrangement, like the perfectly preserved historic home they lived in on Church Street. Her world was held together by her friends, Sophie, the boutique's dramatic owner, Charlotte, a sharp-tongued real estate mogul, and Isabel, a seemingly fragile floral designer with eyes that missed nothing. They were her counsel, her distraction. And then there was Theo. Theodore Hartman was the new wedding photographer L'Etoile had partnered with. Where Henry was cool, sterile precision, Theo was all warm, chaotic artistry. He had kind eyes that crinkled at the corners and a habit of capturing the unguarded moments everyone else missed. Their first meeting was a debate over lighting for a Valentino gown. Their second, a shared laugh over a bridesmaid's predictable meltdown. The third, a lingering conversation after everyone had left. The shop bathed in the soft, golden hour glow. He'd reached out to brush a stray thread from the sleeve of her silk blouse. "Amelia," he'd said, his voice soft, "you have a shadow in your smile." No one had seen a shadow in years. She'd been all polished light. The kiss, when it came, was not a collision but a surrender. There amidst the ghostly silhouettes of $100 gowns, it tasted like stolen champagne and forgotten yearning. Chapter 2, The Silk Slip. The affair was conducted in a haze of stolen afternoon light. Theo's downtown loft, a sun-drenched space cluttered with camera equipment and vintage prints, became her true altar. He saw the woman beneath the impeccable consultant, the one who loved sad French films and had a secret, terrible talent for sketching grotesque, fascinating shoes. He called her Mia, a private, intimate truncation that made her feel new. Guilt was a faint, distant scent, like perfume on a discarded dress. Her alibi was Sophie, who believed Amelia was scouting venues for a hypothetical, elite client. The first thread pulled loose at a high society wedding at the Calhoun mansion. Amelia was in her element, a whisper in ivory chiffon, directing the ballet of the day. Theo was a silent, capturing specter. She watched him work, her heart a secret, hummingbird thing. Then she saw Evelyn Vance, a renowned wedding planner from New York, all sleek black bob and architectural severity. She was there as a guest, but she moved towards Theo with the certainty of a tide. She kissed his cheek, her hand resting on his arm, a gesture of deep, casual familiarity. Theo's smile was not his polite, professional one, it was the one he saved for Amelia. Later, in the manicured garden, Charlotte materialized beside her, a glass of gin in hand. "The plot thickens," she murmured, following Amelia's gaze to where Theo and Evelyn stood close, heads bent. Evelyn Vance, she and Theo had a thing that rocked the New York wedding scene a few years back. Nasty, creative breakup, or so they say. Or so they say. The phrase was a drop of acid. That night, in the loft, his hands on her felt different. "You and Evelyn Vance," Amelia ventured, tracing the line of his jaw. He caught her hand, kissed her palm. "Ancient, complicated history, Mia. She's just a colleague now, a competitive one." His assurance was smooth, but his eyes, for a fraction of a second, darted away. Chapter 3, The Embroidered Hideout. Once seated, grew like ivy, beautiful and strangling. Amelia noticed the new lock on his phone, the weekends he was suddenly scouting in Savannah, the way he sometimes smelled of a different, more astringent perfume, not Evelyn's bold Chanel, but something else, something elusive. Driven by a quiet, growing desperation, she did something that made her skin crawl. She used her key to his loft on a day he was shooting a wedding in Beaufort. The space felt different, charged with a silence that accused her. She found it in the darkroom, a place she'd never entered. Not a love letter, but a photograph, a stunning, silver gelatin print. It was of a woman's bare back, the spine a graceful curve, the skin luminous. It was erotic in its profound intimacy, and on the shoulder blade, perfectly captured, was a small, distinct birthmark in the shape of a crescent moon, scrawled on the back in pencil, for E, my unfinished masterpiece. E. Evelyn. The birthmark was her signature. This was not ancient history, it was a current, developing project. The betrayal was no longer a suspicion, it was a beautifully composed fact. Her hands shook as she took a picture of the print with her phone. The cool perfection of the image felt like a greater violation than any overheard whisper. Chapter 4, The Web of Chiffon. Amelia's investigation deepened, now fueled by a cold, forensic rage. She couldn't confront Theo yet, she needed to understand the full tapestry. She began to subtly probe Sophie about Evelyn's Charleston plans. Oh, she's not just opening a branch, Sophie confided over Pinot Grigio one evening, her voice low. She's trying to poach our entire vendor list. She's already got Matteo, that divine pastry chef, and is making eyes at Isabel for exclusive floral work. Rumor is she's backed by some silent partner with deep pockets. Henry wouldn't know anything about that, would he? He knows all the hospital benefactors. The comment was like a sliver of ice down Amelia's spine. Henry, his sudden attentiveness, his gifts, could they be not about her, but about monitoring her within a business rivalry she hadn't known she was part of? Her next move was reckless. She followed Evelyn. She watched her meet not with vendors, but for a tense, private lunch with William, Henry's oldest friend and the chief administrator of the hospital. They argued, William's face stern, Evelyn gesturing sharply. Amelia, hidden behind a potted fern, used her phone to zoom in. On the table between them was a folder with the distinct logo of Henry's surgical group. The pieces began to form a terrifying new picture. This wasn't just a love triangle, it was a hostile takeover. Evelyn wasn't just after Theo or the wedding market, she was somehow entangled with Henry's world. Was Theo a pawn, or a willing participant? Chapter 5, The Seam Ripper. Armed with this new, more dangerous knowledge, Amelia's plan evolved. It was no longer just about heartbreak, it was about survival. She requested a meeting with Evelyn, not as a rival, but as a potential defector. They met at a discreet hotel bar. Evelyn was wary. I know about the photograph, Amelia began, cutting to the chase, and I know about your meetings with William Archer, Henry's friend. Evelyn's mask slipped for a millisecond, revealing sheer shock. You're more observant than you look. I need to know what game we're playing, Amelia said, her voice steel. Is Theo part of your expansion strategy, or is he just a distraction? Evelyn studied her, then sighed, a calculated gesture. Theo is a liability, sentimental. He thinks we're rekindling art. I'm building an empire. My backer, let's just say they want a consolidated, elite event network in Charleston. Medical philanthropy galas, society weddings, the works. L'Etoile is in the way. Your husband's influence is in the way. Theo's lingering attachment to me complicates his usefulness. And your backer is? Amelia pressed. Anonymous, but their reach is long. They arranged my introduction to William, who was supposed to smooth my entry into the hospital charity circuit. He's proving difficult. Evelyn leaned forward. Here's my proposal. You give me L'Etoile's client list and subtly undermine Sophie's confidence. You use your influence with Henry to ensure the hospital's winter gala is planned by my firm. In return, I break Theo so completely he leaves the state, and I keep your name out of my backer's reports. And what does your backer have against my husband? Amelia whispered. Evelyn's smile was thin. Ask him about the failed partnership with Drive, Lucas Grant last year. Ask him who took the blame. Chapter 6, The Fitting. Amelia felt the ground crumbling beneath her feet. She was caught between her husband's hidden war and her lover's manipulation. She agreed to Evelyn's terms, a deal with the devil she now understood. The execution was a masterpiece of subtle cruelty. Amelia began the transfer of clients, each name a betrayal of Sophie's trust. She also started planting seeds of doubt about Theo in Sophie's ear, questioning his reliability, his creative fatigue. Meanwhile, she confronted Henry, not about the affair, but about Lucas Grant. He looked up from his medical journal, his face a careful blank. Lucas made grievous errors. I reported them. The board sided with me. He lost his license. Why? Is someone seeking revenge? Someone backing Evelyn Vance? Henry closed the journal slowly. Amelia, The medical world is small and vindictive. If Lucas or his allies are investing in a social conduit to damage my reputation by association, it would be prudent to be alert. He didn't ask how she knew, he simply accepted the intelligence. Your friendship with Sophie positions you well at Betrayal. Stay close to her. We need to understand the flow of information. He was recruiting her, not as a wife, but as an asset in his corporate battle. The intimacy of the conspiracy was more profound and colder than any sexual betrayal. Theo, caught in the crossfire, crumbled. Evelyn very publicly replaced him with a new photographer, James, showering him with praise. Industry whispers painted Theo as a has-been. He came to Amelia's boutique, a shell of himself. She's ruined me, he sobbed. She took my contacts, my reputation. She said I was stagnant. Amelia held him, her heart a block of ice. She was complicit in his destruction, a necessary sacrifice in a war she hadn't chosen. Chapter 7, The Reveal. The climax came at the Charleston Fashion Week charity gala. The air crackled with unspoken alliances. Evelyn held court, James her new trophy. Sophie, sensing her business slipping away, was drinking too much and shooting daggers at Evelyn. Henry was a calm, imposing figure at the hospital foundation's table. Theo, drunk and desolate, made a scene. He stumbled up to Evelyn, voice slurred. You used me, you said the portfolio was for us, for our comeback. Evelyn looked at him with pure disdain. Theo, darling, your work was the portfolio. I needed it to secure my investor. You were always better as a behind-the-scenes talent, now you're just behind. It was a public evisceration. As security led a shattered Theo away, Amelia caught Henry's eye across the room. He gave a barely perceptible nod. It was time. She slipped her phone from her clutch and sent a pre-written email to the entire L'Etoile client list and the local society blog. It appeared to be from Sophie, a hysterical, rambling rant accusing Evelyn Vance of corporate espionage, blackmail, and unethical poaching, citing specific client names and dates. The evidence was a mix of truth and Amelia's clever forgeries. Chaos erupted, phones buzzed, Evelyn's perfect composure shattered into panic. On the moonlit terrace, Theo found Amelia. Was any of it real? He begged, tears cutting through the night. It was real for me, she whispered, the only true thing she could offer him, but we were both canvases for other people's paintings. Theo, I'm sorry. She walked away before her own tears could fall. Henry met her at the door, handing her wrap. Sophie's email was impressively dramatic, a bit unhinged, but effective. Evelyn's investor will drop her by morning. Lucas Grant's little revenge plot is over. Sophie didn't send that email, Amelia said quietly, meeting his gaze. He held her look, and for the first time, she saw something akin to respect in his eyes. I know, a surgeon values clean, decisive action, even if the method is unconventional. Chapter 8, The Finished Garment. In the aftermath, the landscape was scarred. Evelyn Vance's Charleston venture collapsed amid the scandal. Theo left for the West Coast, his career in ruins. Sophie, bewildered and betrayed by the email she didn't send but couldn't disprove, sold a diminished L'Etoile and moved to Paris. Charlotte, who had guessed too much, quietly distanced herself. Amelia and Henry stood in the wreckage, the only two players who truly understood the game that had been played. They had not fought for love, but for territory, and they had won, together. One evening, weeks later, Henry handed her a small velvet box. Inside was not jewelry, but a key. It's for a studio space on King Street, he said. I heard a rumor about a talented designer with a unique perspective on shoes. It seems a waste for her to only sketch them. Amelia took the key, its weight immense. It wasn't a love offering, it was a partnership agreement, a recognition of her capability, her ruthlessness, her value as an ally. She opened her own laptop and showed him a file, a proposal, she said, for a new, exclusive event consultancy. We leverage your medical network for high-end philanthropic events. I design the experience, we cut out the middleman, we control the narrative. He read it, a slow smile touching his lips, the first genuine one she'd seen in years. It's elegant, strategic. They sat in their beautiful, quiet house, not as husband and wife, but as co-conspirators who had seen the worst in each other and had chosen, not forgiveness, but a mutual, unshakable understanding. The chiffon trap of society's expectations, of fleeting passion, had been torn apart. What remained was a stronger, colder fabric of their own design. The intricate, punishing dance was over, the quiet, powerful alliance had begun. And just like that, another journey on the Book Whisperer comes to an end. We hope it was worth your while. If this story found a place in your thoughts, help us keep the magic alive. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next world we explore. Your like is the best signal telling us which tales to tell more of. Thank you for listening. Until the next adventure.